The Wind Began to Rock the Grass by Emily Dickinson. Emily Dickinson was an American poetess. She was born in Massachusetts on December 10, 1830. She challenged the existing definitions of poetry. She broke the already existing tradition of writing poetry. She is considered the unconventional poet because she broke from the tradition and she did not follow any of the previous writers or poets like writers such as Ralph Waldo Emerson, Henry David Thoreau, Walt Whitman. She experimented with the expression in order to free it from unconventional restraints. Like writers such as Charlotte Bronte and Elizabeth Barrett Browning, she crafted a new type of persona for the first person. The speakers in Dickinson's poetry, like those of Bronte's and Browning's works, and sharp sighted observers who see the inescapable limitations of their societies as well as their imagined and unimaginable escapes. The literary marketplace offered new ground for her work in the last decade of 19th century, which was very significant. When the first volume of her poetry was published in 1890, 44 years after her death, it met with stunning success. Dickinson mostly wrote on morality. Emily Dickinson led a secluded life at her home. She mostly enclosed herself into a single room, and there she did not meet people. The poem "The Wind Began to Rock the Grass" tells us the story of a storm happening on or near a farm. Dickinson paints a picture with the poem using imagery and personification. "The Wind Began to Rock the Grass" is a great thunderstorm poem. The poem unfolds the destruction by natural forces, and leaves of trees are unhooking from the trees. The dust is throwing from itself to the roads, and the thunder and the lightning quickened the wagons. They hurried themselves. The birds tried to leave their nests, and the cattle fled the fields. One drop of giant rain seemed that the dams had parted themselves. There was such a thunder and lightning, wind, all was destructing the phenomena of natural world. Let us see the explanation stanza by stanza. The wind began to rock the grass with threatening tunes and low. He flung a menace at the earth, a menace at the sky. Emily Dickinson, the very first line, which is the titular line, and which is very obvious. This is explanation of the first stanza. The wind began to rock the grass. The title is very obvious and suggestive. It is explaining itself. You may say this is the self-explanatory title of the poem. The wind began to rock the grass. Began to rock the grass means with extreme. The wind is rocking the grass with threatening tunes and low. Threatening and low means sometimes this tune is threatening and sometimes this is low. He flung a menace at the earth, a menace at the sky. A menace means he means God. God has sent a wrath and anger to the earth, and a menace and the anger at the sky. The leaves unhooked themselves from the tree, there is such a swift wind by which the leaves are unhooking themselves from the trees. जो पत्ते हैं वो सारे दरख्तों से गिर रहे हैं, झड़ रहे हैं, and started all abroad, and they have started uh, spreading everywhere. The dust did scoop itself like hands. Here we can see and that Emily Dickinson has used personification in regarding the leaves and the regarding dust. That dust scoops itself like hands and threw away the road. That dust is hooking itself and scooping itself like the hands. Like the hands means there is also a simile, and throwing itself on the road. The wagons quickened on the streets. Why? Because of the swiftness of wind. Wind is extremely high and the thunder hurried slow. Now, with the wind, there is also a natural force, thunder, which is hurrying slowly. The lightning, there is the third natural force, that is lightning, bijli chamakna, showed a yellow beak. It seems as if there is a yellow beak of the light and then a livid claw. The birds put up the bars to the nests, the cattle fled to the barns. So in the fourth stanza, the poetess says that with the wagons which are hurrying on the streets, the thunder which is sometimes slow and sometimes hurrying as well, there is also lightning with a yellow beak, and it seems as if there is a claw of nature on the people. The birds put up the bars to the nest. The birds, when they hear the sound of the fury of the wind, they are they are putting themselves to the bars of the nests. They are then the cattle fled to the barns. The cattle are fleeing towards the barns. They are trying to uh, run away from the fields. There came one drop of giant rain. Giant rain. This is giant rain, which is expected because of the thunder, lightning, and the fury of wind. And then, as if the hands that held the dams had parted hold, the waters wrecked the sky, but overlooked my father's house, lust quartering a tree. Now she is talking about the hands which were holding the dams, as if those hands are parted. ऐसे लगता है कि जो जिन हाथों ने डैम्स को पकड़ा हुआ था उन्हें खोल दिया है. आपको पता है डैम्स में कितना पानी होता है. The waters wrecked the sky, that there is unlimited water which is spreading everywhere. And then in the last two lines she says, but overlooked my father's house. But all this water which was wrecking sky and the earth, it overlooked her father's house. Lust quartering a tree. Let us see the analysis of the poem. There is extensive use of metaphors, similes, and personification. You could see the unusual imagery in the poem. हमने अभी poem पढ़ी है. उसके अंदर आपको जो images नज़र आए होंगे, these were unusual images, unusual syntax. Syntax means grammatical structure of the poem is, or sentence structure of the poem is unusual. Unconventional punctuation, as we have already read in the introduction to Emily Dickinson, that she had used that he has used unconventional pattern of writing for poetry, as she challenged the already existing writing style of the poetry. Her writing style is part psalm and a part riddle. Let us see what is the structure of the poem. Use of quatrains and use of dashes and capitalization आपको बहुत सारी जगहों पर नज़र आई होगी. Use of dash है. If you see that there is dash or hyphen mostly. In structure of the poem, Emily Dickinson uses slant rhyme with words that have similar but not identical sounds like warm and swarm. Even an odd pattern of lines could be observed throughout the poem. The sentences were short and long. There was not a proper pattern in writing this poetry. Tone and mood of the or you may say the voice of the poem was strange, mysterious, unsettling, ominous, and exciting. You may check in all the slides almost in the stanzas that there are few notes written for your clarification, that you may have a clear observation of the explanation. Especially look at the last stanza, which is about God, as she was discussing about God in the very first stanza.